Hey friends, it's Dimitri with Bashka Streetwear. So today, as you can tell, I have a lot of prints here on the table on some t-shirts and some hoodies, and I'm going to explain some things I learned from the past month. And what I'm going to explain about is we have screen printed versus DTG prints, and DTG just means direct to garment. So I made a video about this in the past, explaining the differences between that and also using vinyl heat presses. But this is my first time using DTG prints, and there's pros and cons to it that I know more of now. And there's also more pros and cons with screen printing that I know more of because of the various amounts of colors I use. So this is a design I released last month. A lot of people liked it, and the first round of them sold out pretty well. This is just Ted Kaczynski, and this is his cabin. This guy is like the Unabomber, and this is before he became the Unabomber. He lived in a cabin in the woods, and that whole story. It's a really interesting story. You guys can look into it if you want to, but I just wanted to do something based on that. So here's what we have. We have a hoodie here with a screen print on here. This is a 7-color screen print. Then we have the same hoodie material, and this is a DTG print on here. It's, yeah, as you could tell, it's in full color. It turned out really great, and you could see everything. It actually, I'm going to zoom in on the detail. On this one, it actually looks like screen printing, and when the shop sent me this sample, I was actually surprised because in the past, I remember DTG, it wasn't as good as it is now in some ways. And then this one, this is a 7-color screen print. But as you could tell, there's less detail that is shown in here. That's what it looks like when it's printed. So a lot of print shops, they're probably going to be ranging from around 6 to 9 screens that they could print for you. Some shops can print 6 colors, some can print 9, some can print 10, but you're probably going to be around that area if you're printing locally for what they can do to you. So my guys, they did a 7-color print on this, and I realized that for hoodies, the material, it does not, the colors don't really work out as well as they do for t-shirts. So here is a 7-color t-shirt print compared to the DTG. As you could tell, I'm going to move these two hoodies here. The t-shirt I think looks really great. I like the hoodies as well because they kind of look like, what's it called? They kind of look like a knitted sweater or something like that. But the t-shirts, even more of the color and detail comes out. The reason why is because the fabric, this cotton, it lets the ink adhere better to it than the hoodies. So that's something I learned, that if I want to do really complicated prints in the future, I probably will, you know, make those only on these t-shirts I always use, the 100% cotton. Like I said, they still look pretty cool on the hoodie, but it's just not as great as the t-shirt in my opinion. So that is something that I learned and something that you guys can keep in mind. It may also depend what kind of printers you guys have. The guys that print these for me, they're local. They are, in my opinion, they're pretty good with multiple colors. The weird thing is that when I wanted the reason why these ones are in DTG, and the reason why I did it the first time, was because I originally sent this design to an embroidery place that I use because they also do screen printing and whatnot, and they're like, oh, we can't print this, we can't screen print this, it's too many colors, blah blah blah. They like kept going on about that. They're like, but we do have DTG. I was like, well, I guess let's try it out. Can you send me a sample? Because I never liked DTG in the past, to be honest, because it has problems, and I'll explain that in a second. But when they sent me these samples, especially the hoodie, I was really shocked because, I mean, look at this. It really looks like it's screen printed on there. It's really thick on there and durable. I've gotten DTG prints before in the past where it was just faded and peeling and not like thick, but this really feels like it's thick, and that's what I like about screen printing, is that it's more 3D. But for some reason, they could not do more complicated color prints like this. Either from they don't have enough screens or they don't have enough experience to do that, because this can be very tricky. As you could tell, you can have quite some variations printing from hoodies to t-shirts. But my original screen print guys, I think they did a pretty good job. So what I learned from this was that definitely I will put more complicated prints on t-shirts if I want to do that. But in general as well, I don't really do tons of colors on shirts because I've mentioned this in a video in the past. The more colors you add on, the more complexity there is. So let's say that they're printing this and a part of the batch, like they mess up on this kind of tannish color. Well, what would happen is that entire t-shirt would get ruined. If you're printing one or two colors, there's less margin of error, so stuff can get printed easier. And if you're printing them yourself, you know, that's definitely something you want to keep in mind. You got to be like really careful when you're printing multiple colors because it just increases the margin of error. Now for the t-shirts, it's pretty much the same kind of style, the Dtg, as the hoodie. It's like in full color, and you could see the difference between Dtg and screen printed t-shirts. These are 100% cotton, what they look like. I don't know, for some reason though, I still like the screen print version of this better than that. But for the hoodie, I think that the Dtg looks better because you just get more color and more depth. Although these two, the screen printed ones, they look really great from far away as well. It's just when you get closer to them, you might things get kind of blurry, you know. So this is what the Dtg looks up close. It still looks like it's screen printed. It's pretty well. Now, I'm gonna explain some cons of Dtg from what I've seen. So the first thing is that they can get peely. As you could tell, the ink layer is peeling from the white layer underneath. This could be something to do with the manufacturing process, obviously. Some of the hoodies I got from them were not adhering well like this. They're kind of peeling, and I sent them an email. I was like, hey, you guys, you usually do great work, but you screwed up on a ton of these and I can't accept these. So this is just my personal one I wear. That is kind of what can happen with Dtg. So if you have your own printer and you're doing that, make sure you get it calibrated right and make sure you have your process down right so you don't have that. Because I'll show you. Look at this, the sample they sent me compared to this. There's quite some differences there. The ink is laid on very, very well. It's very thick. It looks like screen printing. This one's a little bit more thin. You can see the hoodie beneath it more, as you can see in the cabin part. And here's another example of Dtg problems. If their ink and process is not calibrated right, look what happens. All this peeling right here, and the ink is just not laid on thick enough. Look how faded this t-shirt is compared to the hoodie. And here is here's a good example of a Dtg versus a bad example. And it's weird because when they are printing these, they messed up on an entire batch of mediums. I think I had to like shelve 15 mediums or something like that. I was just like, I can't sell these. They're just not good. It's peeling and it's way too faded. There's not enough ink on there. There's like a huge difference between these two. So here is my conclusions. Dtg is pretty good if you do it right. You have to, if you're doing it yourself, make sure it's layered and thick enough so it's like screen printing. Make sure that if you're using a printer, make sure that they are good at it. And because it does turn out good when it's done right. I think Dtg has definitely improved in the years. If you're doing a very complicated multiple color print, you may have some differences between hoodies and t-shirts, so keep that in mind. If you're just printing complicated prints on t-shirts, you're probably gonna be safe, especially if it's 100% cotton. That's the ones I use. The hoodies are 80% cotton, 20% polyester. But that's the main things that I learned from this experiment. It gave me some headaches, but I did, already sell most of the stock, and people really like this design, so this was just a big learning process. Anyways, I hope you guys like this video. If you have any questions, leave me some comments down below, and I'll catch you guys later. Thanks.